All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, April 20th, here at Millbrook High School. Welcome back to everybody. Let me take 1 second to get our usual notification on the website with the link for folks who need it. Alrighty. Alrighty, so the link is on the website. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Let me turn the radio way down. Let me turn this off. Good. Clear desk, clear mind, right? Oddly enough, it's not giving me the viewer count in the corner, and that's very strange. Also, the chat is in a different spot than it normally is. But good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Again, today is Wednesday, April 20th. Today is the last day to purchase prom tickets if you have not already. Again, it's the last day to purchase prom tickets. We're going to go over some prom stuff here in a minute. We're going to go over some graduation stuff later. I got to pull that up so I have the language. There we go. Let me pull up the questions midweek. There we go. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat, and we will get to those. But first things first, I want to talk about prom. Prom is Saturday. Again, as mentioned a second ago, today is the last day to buy tickets. They have to be purchased online, and then students will be able to pick up tickets during the day tomorrow or Friday. If you buy them today, probably give us till Friday. Two big things I want to go over. In the original prom bulletin, and I'm actually going to go to the website and see if I can pull it up right here. In the original prom bulletin, we have had to make a change. And so I'm going to read what is currently in the prom bulletin, and then I'm going to read and insert the new language in real time so that we're all on the same page there. So it goes like this. At the beginning of the prom bulletin, there's a big thing that says notice. And what it says is any students and or their guest who is attending the prom may be subject to a random substance screening. It is the ticket purchaser's responsibility to communicate this to their guest. Students who are selected and refuse the test will not be admitted to prom. What I'm doing in real time is deleting that. And I'm adding, we see in Wake County, we're really fortunate to have a lot of very smart people who have been able to help us craft a more appropriate expectation for the breathalyzer thing. And it reads this. As previously noted, as a safety measure, the administration will have breathalyzers at prom. The breathalyzers will be used if there is a reasonable suspicion either that a student is under the influence of alcohol or that the student consumed alcohol. While all students will not be required to blow into the breathalyzer, the administration will not hesitate to require a breathalyzer based on reasonable suspicion. So, just want to let everybody know that has changed, and it is currently in the prom bulletin as of right now. The old language will remain on the ticket because they're physically printed already, and that's my fault. So in any case, please, if your student's going to prom, take a minute, read through the bulletin, and read that new language regarding how we're going to be handling BAC testing at Northridge. The second piece of the puzzle is arrival at Northridge for prom, and I'm a little sad that I can't screen share like simultaneously. Maybe one day we can do like a multimedia screen situation. Okay, so when you arrive at prom, there's two ways to get into Northridge Country Club. One is you can turn directly into the entrance off of Spring Forest. Two is you continue past that and you turn onto Hunting Ridge and then take the first turn back towards Northridge. It's actually down by the pool. So here's how it's going to work. If your student is driving themselves or you're driving a personal vehicle and dropping your student off, both of those things happen frequently. Or, if your aunt or uncle or somebody is driving, sort of chauffeuring you in a private vehicle, a vehicle that you own, you're welcome to turn in directly off of Spring Forest because that's a pretty easy check-in process. If your students are riding in any kind of chartered transportation, most commonly a limo, if your student is riding in any kind of chartered transportation, they need to go past the Spring Forest entrance. They need to turn onto Hunting Ridge and then turn into that parking lot the back way, because it does take us a little longer to say hi and check in with all the students who are in chartered vehicles, and that line can get a little longer, and we do not want anybody backed up on Spring Forest. So again, if your students are riding in a charter vehicle, please make sure that they are aware that they need to tell the driver that they must pass the main entrance, turn on Hunting Ridge, and then take, and again, like this is assuming you're going north on Falls, right? You would turn right into Northridge Country Club. If you're in a charter vehicle, you'll turn right onto Hunting Ridge and then take the first right into the parking lot. If you happen to be coming south on Falls, you'll turn left on Hunting Ridge and then take the first right. I don't think anybody's going to come from Hunting Ridge the other way, but we'll leave it at that. I will send out a memo probably tomorrow or Friday with those instructions, so you have a little bit of a map in case your party wants to give that to your driver. Yeah, definitely Falls of News, not Spring Forest, because Spring Forest runs east to west and is where we are right now. So to clarify, Northridge Country Club is on Falls of Neuse Road. If you are driving north on Falls, you would turn right into Northridge Country Club. Or if you're traveling north on Falls, you would turn right on Hunting Ridge and then right into that parking lot. If you're traveling south on Falls, it's a left on Hunting Ridge. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I live on 401 past 540. I don't spend that much time on Falls, so sometimes I mess it up. Cool. That's it for prom. Again, a reminder, the prom memo is directly there on the website if you need to read through anything. The prom bulletin is right there on the website. And again, today's the last day to buy tickets. You must purchase them on OSP today if you want to go to prom. Hunting Ridge entrance takes you into the pool. Yep, in the pool parking lot. That's exactly the goal, because then we can have you turn left into the main parking lot as we say hi to everybody. Alrighty. Prom. We're going to talk graduation. Let's knock out some the Google form question. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat and we can get to those. These are from before spring break. Let's get those cleared out. Okay. My son did not receive any information in class about AP testing. He may have been absent, but in the weekly message, I saw there is a schedule. What does SSD mean, and how do we know at what location the student's exam is being held? So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the weekly message and read through that schedule together. SSD, I believe, is how the College Board refers to students that have any kind of formal accommodations on their testing, in their testing program. And so that's why on there, when you see SSD, most of those are smaller locations here on campus, because those are locations where a fewer number of students are testing. AP testing information, AP exam schedule, click here. So as you look on this schedule, so I'm looking at the MHS AP Exams 2022 schedule that is linked in the weekly message from this past Sunday. You'll see the date in the left-hand column. You'll see the time, AM or PM, because that refers to when you're going to arrive. I believe, what is it saying here? It does not. I believe it's like you need to show up at like 7 and noon or something, or 12:30, 7:30 and 12:30. I'm not sure. We'll get that information to you. So when you're seeing SSD in the alpha group column, that just means if your student has accommodations, then they'll be testing in the main large main conference room. If you have any questions about that, you can email Catherine Brown at charris10@wcpss.net, and she can clarify some of that. And then the where column does provide all the information for where that is going to be testing. So for example, let me go back and see, how do we know at what location the student's exam is being held? So let's pretend we're looking at AP World History. I'm going to look in the list. AP World is on May the 12th. It's an AM exam, and those are being held. That exam is being held at 7 Marks Church, Great Hall. And there will be lots of signs and people that you recognize when you get to 7 Marks to take the exam there on the 12th. Otherwise, it's a specific room in Millbrook High School. MHS room 411, MHS room 314, the small student service conference room. If your student has any questions about that, they should email their counselor and they can get detailed instructions on exactly where those need to be. Can we have someone pick our kids up or carpool post-exam? Let's see here. A field trip form is required for students driving or riding in their own private vehicle to 7 Marks Church. This needs to be turned in by the 22nd. There's an example on there. Yeah, so if your student's going to carpool, I would just make sure you fill out the parental consent and student medical information for school trips, and then they will be riding in a private vehicle, and then you will just have to know, there's a thing on here, when privately owned vehicles are used for transporting students, only the vehicle owner's liability coverage is applicable to any vehicular accident. When students are transported by vehicles owned by Wake County School System, the school system vehicle liability coverage is applicable. So if you're riding with somebody else, just know that it's your own private transportation. That's how that's going to work. But yes, I believe you can carpool. You'll just need to fill out the field trip form that is linked in the memo. And I can actually put that in the chat right now, and that will probably help. All right. Is there a specific time that kids are picked up after the exam, or do they call or text a parent? There are some specific times, like we know, like the exam windows are like 8 to noon, and then 1 to 5 or 1 to 4 or something, 12:30 to 4. I will get that out. I am surprised that I don't have that off the top of my head, and I feel really badly about that. I'll click here. Let me see if it's in the letter, and maybe I just missed it. Yeah, so here we go. If again, I'm going to drop this in the chat right now. This is the AP letter, SSD and all. Students with disabilities, so SSD, again, SSD is students that have accommodations for their exams. All means anyone else. If you don't have accommodations, then you'll be at the location for all. So in the parent letter, and I'll read this out loud, AM exams, morning exams begin at 7:30. Afternoon exams begin at 11:50. So that's different than anything I said. Morning exams begin at 7:30 and PM exams begin at 11:50 a.m. You need to arrive 30 minutes before your exam time. If you're late and the exam has already begun, you will not be allowed to enter the testing room, and there is no makeup testing. So it is really, really critical to be there beforehand. So here's what I can tell you. The AM exams start at 7:30, with the PM exams beginning at 11:50. We know that they'll be done before 11:50. So yes, that's the information I have in terms of timing and when you should maybe plan on picking your student up. The papers say to bring water and snacks, but then state they can't bring it into the exam room. Where will they leave their keys and snacks at the church? So they can, let's see if that's in the letter. You should not bring the following into the exam room: food or drink. You are allowed to bring a snack and a beverage for your 10-minute break. However, food and drink are prohibited in the exam room. So my recommendation would be you'd leave the snack in the car, and during the probably when you take the break, you'll be able to go to your car and grab that. We can certainly get some clarification on that for next week if we need it. Has the other exam schedule been finalized yet? I have not been told that we're publishing it, but again, I can tell you that it starts on May 27th for all other school-based exams. Awesome. Okay. Great question. on AP testing, gave us a chance to get through that. Will sophomores and parents receive official notification whether their student is receiving the MYP certificate, and when is it granted? We will start going through and working on that on May the 3rd, after that work day. And I will confirm with Ms. Haddock what the plan is for distribution of those. The official notification would be when it is potentially delivered or your student picks it up, but I can get a better answer to that for next week for sure. Good question. For AP testing, in the letter sent to students, it mentioned some schools require a social security number. What if we have an underclassman who has no idea about what schools to submit testing to? How does that whole process work? For that question, I am going to refer you to your counselor. I would highly recommend you email your counselor and ask them that question. They will be able to help you think through that in the long term because they deal with students planning over 4 years. I will work on the snack thing. Can't leave a snack in the car. Okay. Ask that question again next week. I'm going to go try and get some answers for later today for that. All right, next thing is a big thing and an awesome thing for us. So I'm going to share a link in the chat to a thing called the Panorama Survey. Now, the Panorama Family Survey, which is what I just sent there, is a really powerful tool that allows schools and the district to understand the needs and concerns of parents and families around the district. It is available in a bunch of different languages. If you can't find your language or need any language support, please email me. Let us know. We can work on that. Please do one survey for your home. Don't have each parent fill it out. But do one survey for each school. So if you have a student here and a student at Durant Middle School, do one for each. That survey is open until May the 6th. So we'll also send it out again in the weekly message, but that's a really, really important planning tool for us here at Millbrook and the district as a whole. And that survey is built by an organization called Panorama, and they do a really great job of vetting questions to make sure that they get what we need. It's not just these fluffy questions that we're making here. They're really powerful. So please do that. I'm completing the College and Career Promise enrollment form, and it is asking for the principal's email address. What email should we use? For right now, if you're going to turn it in before May the 9th, I would put Dr. Kearney's email address on there. And I will put that in the chat right now if you need it. It is also dkearney@wcpss.net. That's Dr. Kearney's email. I'm going to triple check that, but I'm reasonably sure that's right. Yes, dkearney@wcpss.net. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. I'll put some links in there with a whole bunch of stuff. So who knows? Snacks, yes. Has the other exam schedule been finalized? My answer, I don't have a great answer. But soon, for sure, now that we're back from spring break. All right, I think I got all the questions. If I haven't answered your question, please go ahead and put that back in the chat so I can get to it. Okay, as promised, I will always read the question. I don't want to ask this in a political sense, but just an honest answer. I read that Millbrook is applying for a grant, and it may be approved by the time next Wednesday's call for We Are Anti-Racism Training. Can you explain how Millbrook will be using this grant? Yeah, so again, and I think Ms. Cash did a great job of helping clarify that work, which is we are always trying to find professional development offerings for teachers, whether it's in content area or skill pedagogy area, which is where this would fall. And so UNC Charlotte has a really cool continuing ed certificate program that we're trying to get teachers into. But for, I don't know, 10 years or so, schools aren't really given budgets for professional development needs. So we can't fund teachers going to that. So we are always in the game of where can we get funding to send teachers to this thing. So fundamentally, it's going to be teachers getting continuing education credits to have new and better skills to serve all the students we have here, because with 2,400 students from a wide variety of backgrounds and cultures, we have a lot of needs that students need and deserve to have met, and teachers need the tools to be able to do that. So that's the goal. The last question on here, what is the procedure for returning to school from being sick? Is it okay to take the bus? We haven't had this come up before. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to go to WCPSS.net, and I'm going to go to the parents drop down, and that's not where it is. Here we go, returning to school. Let me make sure that this is updated. March 14th, yeah, so I think this is the most recent one. So there are two charts. There's a chart for if you test positive, and there's a chart for if you have symptoms. So if you are positive, if you have a positive COVID test, then you quarantine for at least 5 days from the start of your symptoms, and then after 5 days, once you're go away, Siri. I like you fine, but sometimes you're in the way. So the way you come back if you test positive is it's 5 days, or when your symptoms are gone, whichever one's longer. So it's a minimum of 5 days. If you get to day 5 and you're still nauseous or have a headache or have a running nose, you still have those symptoms, and you stay at home until your symptoms are gone for 24 hours. And so again, like if you're positive but you don't have any symptoms, then it's 5 days and you come back. If you are sick, fever-free for 24 hours without the use of fever-reducing medication and symptoms have improved. Yeah, so basically, as long as you don't have any symptoms, and you haven't had a positive diagnosis, as long as you're free of symptoms for 24 hours, you are good to come on back to school. That's a good question. I know, like, for a while it's changed and everything feels like it's getting closer to normal, but it's okay. So yes, as long as you haven't had symptoms, if you have a negative test and you don't have any symptoms, and you're fever-free for 24 hours, then you're good to come out of school. And if you're good to come out of school, you're good to be on the bus. Great question. Alrighty. It is 8:23. I am going to do a last call for questions. So if you have questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat. Again, for more detailed help with AP exams and understanding where to be and when to be, I'm going to recommend that you reach out to your Alpha guidance counselor. They can help make sure that you understand your testing schedule and where you need to be. We will get better information on the snacks. That's a really good question. I saw that the magnet application period was extended for Millbrook and some other magnets. Wondering if you know anything about why. It seems MHS is a bit overcrowded already and still hasn't received additional funding. Oh, I love this a lot. Yeah, so we historically receive between 115 and 130 magnet seats a year. Most of those go to 9th grade students, but some go to 10th grade, fewer go to 11th grade, and occasionally we have 1 or 2, maybe 3 seniors who transfer in as magnet students. We actually, I don't think we need the negative results, but let me ask that question in just a second. We only have to know if it's positive. So I'm going to go and say, if you have a negative result, you just stay home until you're better and you come back. Okay, so magnet period. So anyway, we got the first round of magnet results came out. Some people accepted that they wanted to come here, and because the magnet office handles who gets what, like not everybody gets their first choice. Some people may have had Millbrook as their second choice, but they really only wanted to go to their first choice. And so what they do is they apply to go back to their base school, and that opens up seats here. And so in regarding to overcrowded, there's 2 ways to look at that. One is taxpayers. It's like, great, we have 23, where are we at today? Let me just give you the exact number because we can have exact numbers this day and age. As of today, we have 2,316 students. So we are operating at a very high capacity considering the allotment algorithm for the state and district. At 2,400 students enrolled, you get different allotments for teaching positions and funding and things like that. So, you know, for years we've been at like 2388, 2390. And the magnet process is a large part of where that comes from. So classes are large, but mostly that's due to our teacher allotment and not necessarily because of the physical space. So I think that answers all of that. If not, please feel free to ask for clarification. But also, awesome question. I emailed Ms. Cooper on April 7th about my son's absence and haven't heard back. What's the time frame for absences being excused? There's probably a huge backlog due to spring break, but I would certainly recommend checking in with Ms. Cooper. Just shoot her another email real quick, and I bet she'll get back to you today or tomorrow for sure. Missed how to turn in the visitor prom approval. Have them drop in the office. So there's actually an online form. Let me go back to the prom bulletin here. Linked in the prom information in the prom bulletin, there is, when you click that on the website, there's actually a landing page. And when you click prom guest form, it opens a Google form where the actual application for a guest, the guest form, is linked. So you'll click on it, you'll get the form, you'll fill the form out, and then you'll actually submit a picture or scan of that form that you fill out. And it's really important. Some people are printing it 2 pages. If you take a picture of it to submit, you need to take 1 picture of both pages for that submission process. So you actually turn the visitor form in online through a Google form. Let me give you the prom landing page where you can find that. Oh, and Ms. Janeski is joining us and says that you can take them directly to her in 1413. Great. I will take some forms that I've been given down to 1413 so I don't lose them in my office. Ms. Janeski, since you're here, anything I missed? Anything else we want to share about prom? If not, everybody, I think we're going to wrap it up. It's really great to see everyone back here after spring break. I'm going to mess with everybody's mind a minute, which goes like this. Next week is the 27th. The week after that, it's May. And then we're talking about the last month of school for the year. So we're close. But yeah, May is just around the corner. I know it feels like, oh, it's still solidly April. Well, April is ticking away. As always, if you need anything at all, feel free to email your counselor or administrator. You're welcome to reach out to me. I may send you to your counselor or administrator so you can get information in a timely manner. But we love you all. Thank you for being here. And thank you for everything you do for Millbrook High School and this community. We'll see you next week. Be safe out there and have a great weekend. And for some of your youngins, we'll see you on Saturday having a safe time at prom. All right. Have a great week and a great weekend. Bye now.